Howdy, my name is Sean, and I play Atticus Phoenix. Atticus is a human fighter with a champion/homebrewed mage slayer archetype. Atticus hails from one of the oldest royal houses in Nymeria, the House of the Phoenix, which is nestled deep within the South Green, but has been wandering the continent for some time as a knight, pledging his sword to upkeep the memory of his family and to protect the people of the land. He is haunted by an ancient entity known as the Darkness, which has cursed him and his entire family with a plague that has left him and a few others as the last of their name. Atticus is the father of Atlas, his long-lost son, best friend to Cletus Legrand of the Hill Giants, former partner of Burgent Fellhammer, and designated leader of the party.
My name is Aaliyah and I play Fauna. She is a witch raised in the Evewood Coven that was recently wiped out by the Night Guard. Although Perrin is the closest thing she currently has to a father, her real parentage is still a mystery, as are the horns, which seem to be some kind of curse. She has a black cat familiar who is her best friend and constant companion and has now found a new family in the ragtag party she has joined up with on this adventure.
My name is June, and I play Nyxloon, a shadow elf, divine sorcerer, and rogue assassin with our shared pronouns of she/they. The last remaining heir to the Nightlands and prime of the Court of Night, Nyx was secreted into an enchanted locket to survive an ancient war, where they were soon lost to time and the whims of their Loonstone's wielder. From close friend and confidant of the Queen, to gauche pawn and ruthless assassin for the Speakers, Nyx was passed from many hands throughout history, and changed much of it. Now freed from the Loonstone's control, Nyx has only three goals: repay their life debt to Atticus Phoenix, protect their godson, Perrin Miliamne, and reclaim what was stolen from them in memory, identity, and homeland.
Upon finding the Legrand family waiting for them in the sacred fields of the Unbroken Green, a reunion was had, and Atticus spoke to Legrand of his intention to face the darkness that now re-emerges from the south. During a celebration on the eve of the journey's completion, members of the party found themselves occupied with more serious matters. In a trance, Fox met a mysterious stranger who offered a cryptic warning of danger to the party. Fauna used her power to break the gauche over Cletus, tethering his life to the Unbroken Green. And Perrin used a door to pay a quick visit to a familiar old man within the confines of his Evewood cabin. On the grounds of Phoenix Manor, the party must now discover the secrets Atticus's old home may keep, an old counsel for the war that is to come.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Castle Run. I am your DM, Elijah Goodall, pronouns they, them, and we're going to get right into the session with all of you approaching Phoenix Manor. Atticus, the last little remnants of that conversation you had melt away. It is evening. You are standing here on the grounds of Phoenix Manor. As you take it all in, memories of this place wash over you. And you find yourself looking around the grounds. Tell me, Atticus, after all these years of being gone from it, what is the first memory that returns to you? Just a little trigger of nostalgia.
I think as Atticus is walking up to the property of the manor, he's thinking about like when he was a kid and running around and his mom chasing after him, and then like the house staff chasing after him too. But it's like a montage. He gets older, and then like there's one where he's chasing all the staff and they're like chill 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 chill, and then the final one is him like leaving the manor. It's a little montage.
Yeah. All of you see Atticus standing there at the entrance to the grounds, lost in thought. I mean, you're looking around. Again, like we said last time, there is one kind of the largest building, which is the manor, several stories tall. Who knows how deep into the earth it goes. But there are a multitude of outbuildings in this place too. So like you see little sanctums and towers that extend kind of over the grounds in every direction. It is truly a massive estate. I think even compared to like some of the estates that you've seen in Asparia Vox, like this is almost like its own kind of self-sustaining colony. And in order to keep a place like this running, even just kind of like the bare essentials and the upkeep, it takes a sizable staff. And as all of you are approaching, you start to see gathering on the grounds and heading towards you. I mean, you've got a pretty large group too. You've got the Legrand family here, and I think you're including the party a little upwards of, I think we said like almost 40 of the list. So you're approaching, your numbers are approaching 50. And there is an almost equal number of staff here for the manor that begin approaching you. Atticus, the family coffers run deep, and for centuries have kept these people paid well to maintain this place. And obviously over the hundreds of years, many staff members have come and gone, some staying on for generations of families, others leaving and new members taking their place. Even coming back now, I think it's been, I'd have to look at the timeline, but it's been, I think, at least 20 or 30 years. Like it's been a few decades since the last time Atticus was here. You see a lot of new faces, within the staff. Two familiar faces, though, are the front runners to this crowd. Atticus, approaching, and the rest of you also would see it, is, let me get the little pictures up here. There is a ghostly, translucent woman with short hair, kind of a golden everything. It's hard to tell what color her hair would have been because her ghostly glow is just golden. The closer she gets, the more you realize you can see through her, and whether this is some kind of specter or apparition or something else entirely. The rest of the party doesn't know. Atticus, you would know this as Amara, the living spell created by Atlas, one of the first successful ones that he created that acts as a living spell. It's almost basically like an empowered mage hand spell come to life. She does have a personality, a memory, but it made sense to have something timeless kind of be the head of the staff here. And so Amara is, for all purposes, the host of Phoenix Manor, which is how she would all appear to the rest of you too. However, Atticus, to you, you also know that Amara bears the form of your former wife and the mother of Atlas, because when Atlas made the living spell, he made it to look like his mother. Accompanying her, all of you see what looks to be a small automaton, about just pushing like maybe 4.5 feet tall, a kind of frail wooden limbs that are not hastily, but maybe clumsily assembled a little bit, like jointed to the torso. A small little head with no mouth to speak of, but just two bright little yellow eyes, almost like fireflies that look out. It's kind of encrusted in moss and things like that. It looks like it was basically cobbled together out of maybe spare bits of armor and plating and wood, like plant matter found on the grounds. And as it approaches Atticus, you also recognize this as an early automaton built as well by a young Atlas, both to kind of be an archivist for the library, retain stories, information, know where to find things, and also doesn't function so well, especially since what happened to Atlas happened. Over the pretty quickly after that, this little guy named Ash began to deteriorate and still functions, but is not quite all there. And the group is pretty. What is the party up to?
Yorge is going to look through his lens at this automaton.
Oh, you look through the lens. You see, as an artificer yourself, there's not a lot to see here beyond like the simple spell work of bringing an automaton to life. You see, albeit done well, but clumsily, like the make on this, that you imagine that it probably has to spend some amount of time every few weeks, like repairing itself. But go ahead and give me an investigation check if you want to try and glean a little into it. There's not a lot of unexpected magic here.
Yeah, just a 12.
Okay. Yeah, on a 12, that's what you see. Both of these figures are approaching the party. Upon seeing that it is you,
Everyone else is seeing her, right? Like,
yes,
we're
yes.
not being haunted.
Nope.
Nyx is fully saying that too.
Cool.
To party.
Cool. Great.
Wait, so you're seeing another person? Wait, how are you seeing three? How many? Hold up fingers. Behind your back. Don't let them see. The ghost will see. Oh, okay. Never mind. There's no ghost. We're good.
Chill. Amara, honey, how are you?
I'm well, Atticus. It is good to see you.
Atticus looks. I forget they talk very old.
Do we have to talk that way back to them?
No, you can talk, however.
Okay.
And then Atticus is gonna look at the little automaton and be like, "Hey, little buddy."
Oh, Master Atticus! It's so good to see you. This little guy just flings himself on you and like goes to give you. He hits you around the mid, like his head comes up just kind of past your midsection, and he sort of just
really got a type.
flings all his limbs around you. Oh, I can't tell you what it's been like here. The staff we've gone through and the libraries need cleaning, and it's too much. It's too much. Oh, I see you've brought friends. It's introductions, please. Hello, everyone. My name is Ash, and this lovely vision is your host, Amara. Welcome to Phoenix Manor. And I've forgotten again that I am not the host. I'm the archivist. I'll take a step back, and you see the little robot just kind of like takes a few steps back, as Amara smiles and then bows deeply to all of you. It's quite the party, Lord Atticus. Will you all be staying with us for some time?
Yeah, I would lack for rooms to be prepared for everybody. Also, I would lack a dinner to be prepared for everyone tonight. We'll use the banquet hall to see everyone. I'd also lack for letters to be written out when possible to the nearest cities, to the leaders, to call them forth for the banquet tonight, if possible.
Amara regards you. Just gonna make a little. She went to make a little insight check to get some of your subtext on what's going on, and she rolled a natural 1. So Amara just gives you a nod and is going to go about obeying the letter of the law. You see her immediately turn and begin to speak to staff. A lot of the staff here, Atticus, not being familiar to you, like, give me an insight check.
$11.
Okay. Yeah, on an 11, they look to all just be regarding you with not an air of distrust at all, but just kind of, a lot of them were like, oh, I guess, like, usually she's the boss, and I guess now this is, like, the actual boss.
Yeah, Atticus is going to take a step forward and just be like, because they kind of recognize they see some new faces, and just be like, I just want to say to all of you, thank you so much for your service. Thank you for honoring the memory of my family and being employed here. You know, I think what we pride ourselves on is if you take a job here, you have a job for life, and you're an extension of family. So thank you for what you do. And if any of you have questions, just come talk to me. I'm open like a library or a book or whatever you like to open, cans maybe, I don't know.
You see a couple people in the crowd chuckle, but everyone kind of gives you a nod, respectfully. And there's a lot to prepare rooms for all of you, to get the dinner ready, to send out missives to the different nearby towns and summon the leader. There's a lot of work to do. So most of the staff here who would already have their own work anyway every day to finish, you kind of see everyone just sort of scatters across the grounds to get to it. Including Amara, which leaves all of you here with, a lot of the House of the Legrand too has kind of begun to disperse, including Uru. And you see Regina, Cletus's sister, is gone as well. So it really is now kind of just the party and Ash standing here with all of you.
Stooping over as like the party is kind of slowly moving towards Manic. Nick's just gonna like, hi Ash, I'm Nix. I'm gonna keep moving.
Oh, hello. Are we supposed to be whispering? I'm not. I'm so bad at whispering.
All right.
I'm good at whispering, but I don't know what's going on here, and I don't want to get in the way of it. It seems very formal and cold greeting, but maybe that's just...
Y'all can talk loudly. It's fine. Ash likes
here.
company.
Hi.
Thank God.
You guys are talking?
When was the last time you were here?
Oh, I've always been here.
Well, I would hope so. Ash.
Yeah, no, I can't really go. The magic tethers me to this place. I'll pretty much deteriorate if I leave the grounds, so here I am. Not
magic
going
keeps
anywhere.
you here. Interesting.
Oh, yeah, well, it's like an anchor, really. I guess I've never tried it. Atlas told me I wouldn't be able to leave the ground. Not, well, not on purpose. You see, just the strength of it's. I don't work so well anymore, so that's about the thing of it.
And
It's
Atlas
all right.
is, he's the one living inside your frog there, right?
What? No, he's
Or
dead.
not you? Right. Oh no, of course,
Yeah.
of course, of course he's dead.
Yeah. Well, I think you would be, Yorge, interested in the library. Ash, why don't you show Yorge the library in the research area?
Library. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Follow me. Let's get to the library then.
While Ash has been talking, Nyx has been like quietly just casting mending over and over again, and like
Oh.
repairing just little pieces along the rusted armor plating, and doing what they can.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me roll a little perception.
Yorge, unless you want to keep hanging around, I mean, you're more than welcome. There'll be a room prepared for you, supper, anything you need.
No, this definitely seems like a convenient way to deal with this. I'll just go off to the library then.
Yes. Okay. Well, follow me then. Library's near the back of the manor. It has its own entrance and everything. So I'm sure we'll be able to spend you just the voice of Ash, which can be heard loudly over Yorge's, just kind of fades into the distance as the two of them head back towards the library.
I like
Yeah,
it.
gangs. Ash is the best. He really has a pep in its step. Yeah, so I mean, rooms are being prepared right now. I'm more than happy to give y'all a tour of it. You know, this is a heritage site, so there is like an actual tour of the manor.
Hey,
since
it's your
one of the
home.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
How are you feeling? Like, what do you want here? We're guests here, so
Yeah, I mean, my house is your house. It's, it's fine. I feel good. I mean, a little bittersweet, that's for sure. It's been 30 years or so since I've been here, so yeah, it's kind of like at this point I come back and I feel like I guess myself sometimes, like I don't stay here that much, so it's changed over the centuries too. I mean, it used to look very different. Burned down a couple times. Yeah, so I mean,
well, welcome home. And Nyx is gonna clap him on the back.
Yeah.
And I think first order of business, shed some of this road dust, get settled, and then take things one step at a time.
Yeah. I think the rooms are getting ready, but there's like a bathhouse, kind of by the library actually. If you want to head there, more than welcome. Should be well stocked. Should be on. I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna be there's kind of like it was my father's like office, I guess. I'll be in there. I got some stuff I gotta go over. But y'all can go clean up, relax. You can drop your equipment bags, whatever you want. The guests the staff will take it to your room, and yeah, I'll show you around after everyone's kind of settled down a little bit.
Cool. Yeah, if everyone wants to go freshen up, staff can certainly show you to your rooms. How do we want to do that? Does everyone want to kind of break up and then come back together again for the dinner? Atticus, do you want to take everyone on a tour of the manor before the dinner takes place? I mean, at this point,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
gonna,
we'll take
if you're
them
trying
on a
to hold it like a council at the dinner too, it
Yeah.
is gonna be like a late dinner. You got in like in the afternoon in order to get missives to like nearby villages and stuff. I mean, it's days to get to St. Florian and back. So obviously that can't happen for the council, but if you're trying to like rally leaders of nearby villages, things like that, you're looking at
the dinner's
like an
more of a
11
welcome
o'clock
dinner.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when Atticus rolls into town, like the word gets out really quickly, and
Cool.
the house is known to feed who comes to the house. So, if there's one of the lords of the house there. So
Yeah, I think
I'm
Phoenix
cool.
Manor would have ways to like instantaneously communicate with leaders of nearby villages so that you don't have to have the time of a messenger running all the way there and then them coming back. It's just message gets sent and then they travel to the manor, which is a few hours time for a lot of them. Cool.
Yeah, I'm more than happy. Like, I don't have anything to do so until then. So if whatever anybody wants to do, Atticus is just twiddling his thumbs in an office.
He was like trying to pretend he had important business to attend to, but really he's just sitting
He
in there
just
doing
goes
nothing.
and puts his feet up on the desk, and he's like, "Cool."
I actually feel like he's just signing off on things because there's so many things that he has to sign. He can only sign off on. So there's just like stacks of paper, and he's just like, like just signing them,
Just
like approving or
burning
denying.
through it. Cool. All of you, those that want to freshen up at the bathhouse can. You're all shown to your different quarters. Atticus, is waiting to give you all sort of a tour of the manor and then the grounds as soon as you're all ready. Is there anything that the rest of you, not Atticus, want to do before you go meet up for the tour and get in your quarters?
I think Yorge, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Yorge was loaned the copy of the book about Akron, so I think he's going to be cross-referencing that book through the library and just kind of using his research skills to find out what he can find out.
Yeah, if we want to get right down to our first investigate, there's a lot in this. I would say of the libraries that you have all looked in, this is chock-a-block full the most. So if we want to do the first of our investigation checks in the library for Yorge, go ahead and give me an investigation. And I will say, it's like, despite his failing, I guess we could call it circuitry, even though he's more of an automaton, Ash can give you advantage on this investigation check.
Yeah, that's 21.
Okay. On a 21.
Rolled a 4 on the first one, so it's a good thing you gave me that.
Boy, it would have been disappointing to build an entire character for research and lore and then
I specifically only have this character for exposition purposes.
bomb the first roll at the
Right kick in the
point
arse.
of interest. Yeah. Okay. I like this. Yorge, you spend pretty much all the way up until today. I think you skip the tour, like, about the dinner thing. Ash informs you is kind of like going back and forth, and maybe a little too much. Like, Ash is leaving the library a lot to kind of like go check in with like the rest of the party. Like, all of you, as you're getting settled, each of you probably gets a visit from Ash for like 5 minutes of like frantically trying to like help you find stuff that has already been laid out meticulously by the staff. So coming back and forth, Yorge, on a 21, you are going to discover some interesting facts about a few different things. You're specifically research that Yorge wants to do is you're just looking up with things related to like the Phoenix family and this journal, things that have to do with Akron, maybe that have to do with like the cult that's like the I don't know if we've said the name yet. You discover pretty quickly, because I don't know if it mentions it in the journal, but you discover pretty quickly that this cult dedicated to Akron is called the Remnants of Ord. And this cult has a long and storied history. It will disappear for decades sometimes before resurfacing. But as you are going through it, one of the things that you're going to discover is you discover the lineage of the Phoenix family. And the line of the Phoenix family goes all the way back to Ord.
Did we lose Elijah?
I did.
Uh-oh.
I think we have.
Oh.
No.
Oh, no.
The stream is frozen too.
The whole stream.
Shoot,
Like
did
delay
power
in
go out
Twitch.
or something?
Wait,
Yeah,
it's really weird because I can hear all your, that's so weird. Because I can still hear all of you. Huh. heck?
Better
Pretty
at
good,
napping.
pretty good
Better
nap.
at
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah, Sue's back.
I don't know.
Again.
I think Zoom crashed. I don't know what happened.
Nope.
No,
Zoom was
because
fine.
we're all
It was the
still in
internet.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Well, on my computer, it
Oh.
did, and then OBS
The
crashed
stream
too.
crashed too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
the
it
stream
wasn't the
crashed.
internet. Hold on. I'm gonna.
Sean, what was your roll for nap?
Nope, we're back.
19.
Wow, best nap.
Wow.
Napper alert.
I
Like
wasted a good roll on a nap.
baby.
Hold on. OBS is. I can see that the stream's still being weird.
The stream is down.
on-
Yeah.
Let me. Oh, that's why. Got it. Hold on. Now it should pick back up. Right.
Yay, we're back.
It is okay. Cool. There it goes.
And we
It's
back.
just a little behind.
Guess who's back?
Whee.
Cool. Library stuff. Yorge, you discover that the Phoenix family line traces all the way back to Ord, which is that city, the event which you would know, Yorge, as the Ord Break, but that giant city built on the bridge that kind of spans the northernmost part of Nemira and the rest of the continent. The Phoenix family line can be traced all the way back to there, pretty directly.
How many years is that?
That goes back. Let me look real quick. It is at least. Let's see. Ord Break happened during the 100-Year War. No, it didn't. It happened after the 100-Year War. The fall of Ord, or also known as the Ord Break, happened 1,600 years ago.
Per-
So pretty far to trace
So,
the
like,
Phoenix.
But also like 3 generations. That's like
Yeah.
Atticus's
Yeah.
uncle.
Well, I think as you're researching this too, you realize a lot of Atticus's like lineage and generation. I mean, so Atticus, pretty quickly you learn, if you hadn't already in like behind the scenes conversations with the party and Atticus, pretty quickly you learn, oh, Atticus has been around for like almost 1,000 years now. So what you realize is that the Phoenix family lineage is actually kind of concentrated. Does it go back a really long time comparatively to other people? Yeah, but the Phoenix family line is kind of this burst of like, you can trace it all the way back to Ord, and then there's a burst of like this wide family, and then that wide family is narrowed pretty quickly until like on the day that Atticus was born, that was the day his grandmother died. And other than his grandmother, it made Atticus, Athena, who had married into the family, and then Armitage, it made them the last 3 Phoenixes. Other than maybe like a couple outliers that, were out there that no one knew, like that were maybe journey bound or whatever. But certainly here in the South Green. So it was like this blossoming of the Phoenix family, and then over just a few hundred years, like a pretty quick collapse of that family. In researching this, though, you discover a few other auxiliary things. One of these is that not only is the Phoenix family, not only are they direct descendants to the Court of Flame. I mean, the Ord Break happened during the time of the courts, so that like there were still court members around from the different courts, and not only is the Phoenix like the direct descendants to the Court of Flame, you also find for, I think this is the second true name of the courts that you've found, Yorge. You've done research around this, and I think Yorge would already know one of the true names of the courts. But as a scholar, you would also know that, like, a lot of the true, there's the Court of Flame, Court of Tides, Court of Mist, which Yorge would know. I think was originally the Court of Hope and not the Court of Mists, as it's more commonly known. Court of Night and Court of Flowers. I think I named all 5. Yorge, you would also know that there are true names to a lot of these courts, and some of them, or I should say most of them, have been lost. And sometimes when you find a name, it's a name that, like, people have given it, but it might not be the true name. Like, one of the most common ones to hear is the Court of Endless Flame. You find here in your research that the original name is the Court of Valiant Flame. Yorge, you would also know, if you just want to put it in your notes, you also know the true name of the Court of Night. And the true name to the Court of Night is the Court of Guarding Night. But the reason that you find this is because you learn that it received the name Endless during the, or shortly after the events of the 100-Year War, which is kind of the falling out of the courts. Before then, most of them were friendly, and there were gatherings all the time of the courts. And then there was a 100-Year War within the courts. So shortly after that is when the term Court of Endless Flame came about, and it was mostly because its members begin to fear death and the end of their reign. And so not only did they change their title, but they sought to learn the secrets of resurrection. Believing themselves to be the heirs of it as the Court of Flame.
Okay.
You get one other thing. Yeah, I do have that here. You get one other thing, and you realize it's this old book that you pull out, Yorge. It is what looks to be an old historical volume. Pretty crusty, incredibly hard to translate. Like, what languages does Yorge speak? What do you have there?
Common, Gnomish, Undercommon, and Abyssal.
Perfect.
But I think he would have also resources to translate other languages, even if he doesn't speak them or know them.
Yeah. I'm going to let that. You already got the investigation check, so I'm going to build that into the investigation check. This is a form of primordial that is tinged with abyssal. It takes you a while to translate this thing. It's so old that it's basically almost like translating hieroglyphics. Like, it takes time to go through it. And as soon as you get a little bit further, it might change the context. Then you have to go back and reframe everything that you were doing in this new context. And what you learn, you realize as you start to read it, Yorge, how important it is. Not perhaps to the separating the soul of Atlas. You've already got that part pretty much figured out. You know that you're going to need a simulacrum down there for the ceremony, which you are sure that you can find the components necessary here at the manor, and you know the place. You'll be able to help create the simulacrum. All of that will go fine. But in traveling with the party for the last few days, you learn what they're after. You learn that they're after the false phoenix, this thing that they now know is called Akron. You realize as you're reading this, Yorge, that you are uncovering the origin of this being. As you begin to go through it, the events of the Ord break become clear. Ord was a magnificent city. It stood all through the 100-Year War. Multiple
Elijah.
battles took place here. Yeah.
I don't know if you were triggering a music cue, but I don't think your music is playing. It looked like you were trying to cue something. Just FYI.
I'm just bringing it in slow.
Yeah.
Thank you, though.
Okay.
Ord should not have fallen. The amount of carnage that it saw during the 100-Year War, like if it didn't fall during that, how would it ever fall? You see here that there was a council, the remaining members of the Court of Flame in the year 200, the day of the Ord break, gathered for a ceremony. Their intent was to summon to the mortal realm the true Phoenix, the key to resurrection, and bind this sacred being, this god, to their will, almost like a battery to keep them alive time after time after time. The ritual did not function the way that they intended. And instead of bringing to this plane the true Phoenix, it brought a child of the Phoenix. Not all children take after their parents. It didn't just bring one, it brought 7. But upon the summoning of these 7 children of the Phoenix into the mortal realm, into Ord, the smallest of all the siblings, the most sickly, it's described here as like, was much smaller than all its siblings, but it was still like a colossal, broken bird, essentially like a pile of rotting feathers and flesh and snapped hollow bones. Even in its weakened state, this broken thing consumed all of its siblings immediately upon being summoned to the mortal realm and took their power for its own. And immediately after this, the Ord break occurred. The fall of the entire city into ash and flame and ruin. Very few people made it out of the city alive. And the only reason, Yorge, as you're finishing up this document, that you realize you can know all this is that one of the few people who escaped was also the author of this historical document. And she, let me find the name here. Let's see. Liliana Phoenix, the mother of the dying flame, mother to Armitage Phoenix, and grandmother of Atticus Phoenix, was there, took part in the ceremony, knew exactly what Akron was and where they came from. And they did not take that secret with them to their grave, because you hold now a document that details exactly what happened.
Just from Yorge's like academic perception, is this an account that is not well regarded, not well known? Was this is this a scroll that he discovered that was like forgotten?
It appears to be a very valid historical document. Like the way that you're dating it is like, yes, it is indeed this old. Perhaps it's but these don't seem like the ramblings of someone that, like, you know, 1600 years ago, like wrote this crazy account of something wild that happened and then bothered to preserve this document. They seem incredibly detailed. It seems like it was written from a person's perspective who was at these events. And you're like choreograph and learn, like, this isn't the only time that the name Liliana Phoenix is mentioned in the library. You find lots of books that mention the Mother of the Dying Flame.
But this is primary source, like this is her writing. So
and you've never heard this, like no one's ever really known what caused the fall of Ord. There have been rumors and things like that. So I mean, as a scholar, you might be a little giddy. Like, you've made a discovery here that no one else has ever found.
So Atticus's grandmother was one of the members of the family, which used to be plentiful and now are few. They tried to call the true Phoenix. That brought the the 7 children of the Phoenix. One consumed the other 6 to consume their power. That caused the Ord break that broke the world and ended all of the courts.
Didn't end all of the courts. It did kind of end the Court of Flames power. It was like another 200 years before the remaining courts fell. But the Court of Flame was narrowed down to, now you learn the Phoenix family. And like after the fall of Ord, Liliana Phoenix came to the South Green.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what you get with the 21.
I think Fauna also at some point would want to go look at the library. So whenever that is convenient and makes sense, like she would have gone to freshen up first.
Cool.
But she can't resist a big old pile of books.
Totally.
Maybe there's a tour that ends in the library.
Yeah,
sure,
I like
whatever's handy.
Yeah, we'll make the tour end in the library. I think that's a great idea. Cool. If everyone is kind of like what does it look like for the rest of you as you head off to your rooms before you go to meet back up with Atticus for the tour? Does anyone want to get anything done in particular? Or are you just taking a little, everyone, I mean, you don't really need it. Everyone gets this counts as a short rest. But I think everyone is chock-a-block full of what they need.
I think that Vox is being super nosy and opening every door that she can on her way to her room.
Fantastic.
Just taking little peeks inside.
Great. Is there anything in particular that Vox would be looking for, just like curiosity?
Just curiosity, general curiosity.
I like that. Give me a perception check.
That's a 16.
Okay. Vox, as you are going through different rooms on a 16, God, I mean, this manor's just full of stuff. It's, you've had experience before with being in a place where you open doors and all manner of wild accoutrements lay on the other side, from orchards to deserts to special rooms with magical swords. This room is full of stuff. It's not quite like the level of the Black Mountain. But even though it's not quite the level of the Black Mountain, just because things are a lot more orchestrated here, you do find a lot of guest rooms. You kind of see rooms that, like, a lot of these different rooms have themes, almost as if they were perhaps themed after different members of the Phoenix family and suited to their decor and whatnot. And those have been kept immaculately preserved. You do feel at a certain point after opening doors that you are kind of like looking through an old-timey preservation museum. There's probably a lot in a lot of these rooms that is maybe not magical in nature, but certainly would hold value or historical significance. But it would take you days to like comb through these rooms like that. There is one room in particular, though, that you're getting close to yours, and you find a little side hallway that you sort of skirt down as one last, found a lot of interesting stuff, but nothing that really felt like it demanded your time or your... And as you open the door, you find in here something that you have not found yet in the manor, which is this just appears to kind of be a storage closet, like a place where people take a lot of decor for rooms. You think maybe certain rooms get switched out in decor, maybe guest rooms rotate out, like, you don't know what happened. This is a this whole place seems to be some kind of like big installation. You don't know how many visitors come here from other places to like learn the history of, but obviously this is like it's like part of Phoenix Manor is almost like the Smithsonian combined with a really nice bed and breakfast. Here in the storage room, you are looking around. There's a lot of, it's like one of the few places that it's not really well cleaned either. Over in the corner, you catch sight. There's just kind of a stack of mirrors on the wall. And as you catch a glimpse in one of the mirrors, you see your own reflection, but for a moment, it looks like there's someone standing in the room next to you in the mirror. You look, there's no one there. But drawing closer to the mirror, you realize that in the reflection, standing towards the back of the room, in the mirror itself, there is a figure. They stand about 6 feet tall, maybe. Nothing terribly impressive in the height or build. They wear a simple dark cloak that kind of obscures most of their physical features as far as it coming to their body. In front of the face, you simply see this smooth white porcelain mask. Beautiful. The mask itself has almost like a feminine appearance to the mask. Beautiful, full lips, a slight nose with a longer bridge that kind of tapers down. The eyes are just hollow, black like the cloak itself. And the figure does speak to you from the mirror. Oh. Hello.
I think I'm starting to go crazy. First I'm talking to a sword, and now there's something in a mirror.
Well,
Questions, hello.
from my side, you're the one in the mirror. We don't have to talk semantics, though. It's been a long time since someone's been in this room, I think. I'm just looking around. I see cobwebs. What are you doing in here?
Just on my way to my room accidentally. Not snooping or anything, just opened
No.
a door.
Me neither.
Yeah. So why are you in the mirror? Why are you looking in the mirror, talking in the mirror? What is this mirror?
Well, I mean, between you and me, I'm snooping a little. I don't live in this mirror. As far as I know, this mirror is just an ordinary mirror. This is just, something I can do. So from time to time, when I'm in a new place, I like to wander around, and this is the easiest way for me to do it.
So where are you?
Ooh, that is an interesting question. Where am I? Vox, roll me a persuasion check.
That's an 18 plus 7. So 25.
That'll do it. The figure is going to approach you in the mirror box so that in the reflection it appears as if they're just standing right next to you. And those eyes in the mask, you can't see anything. It's, again, like the eyes are just hollow, but you can't see anything behind them, really. Where am I? You know, I can be so many different places at once. I don't know if you've ever tried it. Being a curious person myself, which it seems like maybe we share that in common, it's a fascinating thing to be able to find oneself in different places at the same time. You know, you can only pay attention to so much at once, but you get all these little glimpses, all these little tastes of things. It's really wonderful. I do, if you ever find the opportunity to, split yourself up, I do very much recommend it.
I think I'd prefer to be whole all the time.
Oh, what makes you think I'm not whole?
You said splitting yourself into multiple places. Splitting yourself means dividing.
Oh, well, I suppose if you were a finite being who generally found themselves confined to one form, then splitting yourself would be problematic to remain whole. I'm infinite. Tell me, what happens if you split something infinite?
I think it would just continue to take over.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
So you're infinite. You're in multiple places at once. And you're a little nosy.
Oh, well. I mean, I like to think that I don't stick my nose where it shouldn't belong.
All right. So then what is it exactly you're doing here? But you don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong, so you belong here for a reason, right? What is it that you're doing?
I came here to observe. Seems to be what I might call a monumental event. Not to give it too much credit too early, but, something rather grandiose and impressive is about to take place in this world, and I think it all starts right here, so I'm just...
Again, you're saying right
so
here.
Excited to...
Right where? Where are you now?
In the manor. I'm here. The same as you are. I'm other places,
I think
too.
Vox is going to turn around again and look over.
Give me one more perception check.
Ooh. House is just filled with ghosts. That was a
It
14.
is a manor, so...
On a 14, you look around, you see not even a glint of something else catches your eye in the room. No, back here. You won't find me out there.
Speaking of find you, who are you?
Oh, me. Well, lots of people have given me names, but I don't think I ever had one. And I'm not sure I like any of the ones that people have ever given me. I guess if a new friend asks for your name and you don't like any of the ones that you have, what do you want to call me?
Yeah. Not so sure about this entire situation. See, you don't really know me, but I don't just go around making friends this easily, especially suspicious ones that seem to be in a mirror.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to assume. I just, we both have a curious nature, kindred spirits and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why don't I just think about this name thing and get back to you. I'm just gonna head out of this room.
At your leave.
Yeah, Vox just backs out of the room, shuts the door, and kind of like looks around to see if anyone's around there.
You don't see anyone.
Oof.
Are you heading to your room now?
Yeah, Vox would just go to her
Have
room.
you had enough?
Goddamn. Yeah.
Okay.
It's such a Vox move to have that happen and be like, you know what? I'm not going to tell anyone about that. I'm just going to go.
She's just going to her room. She might tell someone.
Just
Go
Nick
into her
Miller
room.
moonwalks out of the room.
Yeah, she's just like, no more friends. Enough friends. She did just
Bye-bye
see
now.
all her friends dead. So
I feel like this
No,
campaign
none
has a
are
lot
friends.
of Nick Miller moonwalking in it.
Ew. Is anyone else before we actually get to your room? Is anyone else doing anything before they head to their room?
Fauna just wants to see if there's like an outfit she could wear because she only has like
Yeah.
2 outfits in her bag, but like she feels like this is an important dinner that is way above her.
Yeah. Give me an
This house for
give me
sure
an
has
investigation
ceilings,
check.
right?
Uh, 14.
Okay. Actually, I like this too. On 14, you're looking around. It's kind of like you're on the way to your room. You realize that like, as you like poke your head into a couple rooms, thinking that God, maybe they'll just be like a few giant closet, like some walk. It's a giant manor. You don't find any that are just like full of clothing and fancy dresses for people to wear for councils and nice dinners. But also, give me just a general charisma check. I want to see if like if you put enough of your like personality forward for the people who are preparing your quarters to set you up with something. So just a D20 plus your charisma modifier.
I feel like when guests arrive at the manor, like if they're staying there would be outfits laid out for like dinners and stuff like that.
Cool.
Very like Saltburn-esque, where it's like, oh, there's an outfit for you.
Let's see if they got it.
great.
Yeah. What was your charisma check?
I got dirty 20.
Oh, Fauna.
And I think like it not something crazy fancy because it's not like a ball or anything, but she just feels that like the clothes she has with her aren't like nice enough to be meeting anybody that she might be meeting at this like she's really intimidated by this whole situation, I think.
Fauna, laid out in your room, you find a beautiful full-length shoulderless and sleeveless halter top dress that is like this dark green woodsy color. It kind of has this like collar that attaches here and then cuts down, almost as if it was tailored, like fit perfectly to you. It kind of has like a slit at right about like the mid thigh that goes all the way down on one side. You find these wooden and some kind of like plant matter, but it's been worked so much that it almost functions like leather. These dark, almost kind of gladiator-esque sandals that like lace up the back almost all the way to your knee, and this beautiful dark wooden brooch that just has this almost walnut smell to it. And in case you're feeling a little more modest, you see that there is also like a similar color, kind of like this gossamer little like shoulder, like this little cloak that you can throw on over top of the dress too, that just kind of like has an asymmetrical slant to it.
Pretty.
Yeah. Okay. Right before we go to
puts it on if that wasn't there.
perfect. Yeah, no, I figured.
Perrin also puts on his dress.
Lovely. You can
God, we're not wearing the same thing, are we? That's
oh
embarrassing.
God, oh boy. Turns out it's all the.
I'll go change. That's
yeah.
fine. I don't feel good about
Perrin!
myself. I mean, I look beautiful, but like that's fine. I'll change.
Everyone walks out wearing the same thing, including Bert.
Just the uniform of the manor.
Yeah. Vox, you are in your room, kind of getting ready. Like, it's not just the tour, but then there's the dinner. This is like you were leaving. You're getting dressed up. However, you're going to get dressed up for this war council, which is not something that you've ever been to. How out of her depth does Vox feel right now?
Oh, incredibly. Like, and especially being in a place this large and traveling so far south, she feels greatly out of her element. Yeah.
I'm gonna let everyone kind of describe their like how they bother to like dress and present themselves for the war council when it happens. We'll sort of all give you like a little announcement thing. But Vox, as you are in here preparing and getting ready, and you feel that anxiety building up, that, I mean, you're here to support and fight with Atticus. A simple goal. You're here to fight for a friend. There's a lot of other stuff going on that has now kind of been lumped into this simple thing that you meant to achieve. And as those thoughts are mounting in your head, it's kind of getting late into the evening now. Vox, you hear from behind you a very familiar voice as a glow just seems to permeate the room a little bit. Are you sure that's what you're going to wear?
Is that her? Is that her lady friend's voice?
As you turn around,
Are
Vox, you see Ravania not quite in physical form. Give me an Arcana check real quick.
Oh, that's not my strong suit at all. Sorry.
Okay. What you see is Ravania, tall. It's not as tall as Atticus, but Ravania's pushing like 6'4". Those broad shoulders, the like gold and blue armor, long dark hair, steep brown eyes. However, all that color is lost because in this form she's standing before you, golden and glowing and a little bit translucent. Not quite, but almost a little bit like that living spell that you encountered earlier. But she is standing in your room. And she's smiling.
I think that Vox would reach out to like out and I guess up. She's taller than her, to like go put her hand on her cheek.
It's solid.
Oh my! What are you doing here? I must be going mad. I was just talking to someone in a mirror who wasn't actually in the room, and now you're here. But
I assure you, I'm here in a way. Vox, have I ever told you about the history of my family?
I think maybe you might have, but I have to be honest with you. I wasn't paying attention.
Yes.
Because you are just a sight to be seen sometimes.
Ravania's going to lean right in to kiss you, and after that kind of go through the exposition to explain as quickly as she can. She is a bright hand. The bright hands are famous for being the bloodline that created the Temple of the Quiet Fire. So a lot of Ravania's ancestors have been monks. She kind of like learned of this, she grew up on the streets in Aspire, but she learned of this lineage after the fact from Ursula, who raised her. And what is happening now is that after putting enough work and training in, she has learned how to astral project. And so
Aw.
she does that in solid form, like many of her ancestors before her have also been able to do. And she's kind of like here in this moment explaining, but she's been holding you the whole time.
It seemed like the best way to keep my promise to you and keep your mother safe. But also now, when I dream of you.
This whole thing is so incredible. I'm so proud of you. That's amazing.
You're proud of me. You're down here in Phoenix Manor on a quest to... I don't know what, but take on something much larger than anything I've ever faced.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This is also terrifying. This place is huge. These people are a little bit strange. It's very muggy. It's like not dry and warm. It's just muggy and hot and a little sticky. And I've never been this far. And how are you? And how's my mother? And what's going on there? And
I won't lie to you. Asparia is in a bit of an upset, but your mother is fine. She's doing admirably. I'm with her night and day. Would that I could get Theon to leave her side, but he insists as well, so your mother has 2 tag-alongs.
I'm sure she appreciates that a ton.
Sometimes I do wish she could have a moment to herself, but promise and all that.
Just amazing, and thank you for holding out that promise and for being here. Are you... And yes, this is what I'm gonna wear. Is it not appropriate?
A council of war? For a council of war. More than appropriate.
Yeah. See, okay, I knew you were just giving me a hard time. I very much you. Thank you. Okay, yeah. You're like actually here, right? Because I feel like I'm going a little mental. I just want to make sure they're gonna see you too.
Vox, you feel the physical form of Ravinia wrap you up in an embrace, and as she puts her own hand to your cheek, you feel the press, and not even, it's not cold, it's warm. Every night.
This is crazy and again amazing. Okay. War. I'm terrified. I've had, God, there's so much I want to tell you. I had this dream and everyone was gone. I'm afraid that that's what's gonna happen.
You can tell me about it on the way to the council. Just don't forget, Vox. You might consider yourself small or of little consequence in all this. You are a storm.
I think Vox kind of just like settles and finally has like a moment of not being so stiff. It's like, I needed to hear you say that again.
Shall we go?
Probably get going, yeah.
You head out, and all of you head out to go meet up with Atticus for the tour. Atticus, where are you taking him on the tour?
Hope everyone found their room okay. You just see Atticus stamping like approved, denied, approved, denied, and the stamp is just like a phoenix with thumbs up, and then this other is a phoenix with a thumbs down. And he's like, yeah, are y'all ready to get the Phoenix Manor tour?
Very excited to see where you grew up.
Do we need to
You're
like
ready.
clear out a few days for this tour? This place is massive.
No. So like, and Atticus gets up and he starts taking him to there's like a front, like the front of the house where he comes in, and then there's like the house where everyone who's coming to like tour, that's like the front. And he's like, no, like the museum part of the house is detached, and then the actual house is way bigger. So we're just gonna go through like the old front of the house, like, and you'll see. And Atticus walks up, and as they like exit the house and go around, they see like Fauna and Nyx would recognize it. The well, there's like a well, and then there's like a big fucking phoenix, like bronze phoenix statue in the yard, in this like big courtyard. And there's like this entrance into it. Looks very like way more like fancy than what, even though where they came through was fancy, this seems like very regal and like site of history. And I was like, yeah, welcome to the Phoenix Manor. And then he's gonna reach behind something and hand out pamphlets to everybody.
As they're passing the well, Nyx is, well, without like interrupting Atticus's little tour guide voice going through, is gonna take some food out of like their pack, just some hardtack or whatever they have, and just drop it in the well.
Atticus Kobe's a peach down
there. You throw
There's
that down.
definitely some little peach tree saplings coming up around this thing. Like, there has to be.
You throw that down, and your shield speaks to you.
Sir Atticus, I'm not down in the well, and I'm right here.
It's a gesture. It's like a fun gesture.
Right. Yes, of course.
For luck.
Yes, ceremony and all that. No, I completely understand. Yes.
Yeah, so Atticus, like, they enter in, and it's kind of just looks like this, like, this big foyer with, like, different entrances to different, like, areas of the house. Like, one says, like, above it, Library of Atlas, like, and it points, like, an arrow one direction, and then above it says, like, Armitage's War Room, and it, like, points, and then, I'm blanking on my mom's name for whatever reason.
Athena.
I apologize. And then there's like another way that says like Athena's Garden and Grotto, and it like points to another way. And then I'm like, all right, well, like I usually start the tour through the war room, and as Atticus is walking down, there's like stuff on the wall that's like the Phoenix House was established, blah blah blah, and like it's very like, and there's relics and pieces. So if anyone catches anything, they can look at, but it's just like a history of like the family, and then it leads into like Armitage and like how like the first battle of evil and blah 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 and all that stuff. I'm not a DM, y'all, so I can't describe everything really well.
You're doing a wonderful job.
I hope Elijah jumps in.
As they're passing through, because this place is like a little bit on the older and somewhat less well-maintained side, right?
No, this is the like very well-maintained side. This is like a tourist attraction. People come from St. Florian to like tour this area.
As they pass these portraits, does Perrin recognize Armitage?
Yeah, you wouldn't have to check for it. You would. But I think also famously you did see the Mirrored Knight, who is Armitage with his helmet off, and that was the moment. So
that was old Armitage, right?
Yeah.
Like he knew him when he was young.
Well, no, you knew him, and he looked about the same as he did when he got the helmet. But you do see some where you recognize him. Like you recognize him as the man that you met at the edge of the world, next to a bed of endless coals, and who you kind of unintentionally informed that his son Atticus was still kicking about, because you hadn't met Atticus yet, but you'd heard of him.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, that's Paul. And Atticus stops. There's like a big portrait of Armitage, like looking a little younger, holding like a child Atticus in his arms, but it's like a very regal painting.
Um,
And that's me.
So do you have
Fauna's
a
like
room
very
named after you?
studiously. Oh, go ahead, Q. I was just gonna say Fauna's very studiously reading her brochure. So she's like, "Oh yeah, this painting was painted in whatever date." Like she's like adding more facts just from reading the
Yeah.
brochure to the
Awesome.
tour.
The Ash, who is like surprisingly like quietly joined the party somehow without making a lot of noise, sidles up to Nyx.
It's just my absolute favorite. Every time he gives the tour, it's so good.
It gets better, and I see something new every time.
I mean, you're getting it from like the original right now, right?
I mean, well,
Who do you usually give these tours when you do it?
I'll tell
When
you
he's
a
gone?
secret. They don't call him the last Phoenix for nothing. He's the last one, you know.
He's one of the last ones.
Yeah.
I
What?
know of another one.
No.
Sort of.
No, he's the last. It's
Yeah. Anyways, y'all.
Unless you're thinking, you know, the little one.
Situation.
Bucks, you say that thing about the little one. Give me an insight check.
$15.
On a 15, you mentioned the little one. You know, right upon your arrival, someone had mentioned Atlas too, in front of Ash. You say the little one, and you see Ash looks at you, and the eyes seem to go dim for a second, almost like spluttering or flickering a little bit. The light in the eyes, like something is trying to be recalled.
Little one in the library. Little one, favorite one.
The little one. He built us. He made me. He made me. He made me.
Yeah. Did so
Yeah.
good. You're so neat.
You're too kind. You're too kind. Yeah, I mean, I've held up pretty well if you consider it's been, hundreds of years, and this is not falling apart yet. You see, he like holds up an arm, and like that you hear a crack, and just sort of some like little clumps of moss and things like that come drifting out of. It does look better than you looked earlier after those mending
mending.
spells. You do.
Yeah.
Kid.
Yeah, Ash was as a little school project of Atlas. Yeah, Atlas was always more head in the books, and I was a little bit more head in the clouds. Yeah, and as we walk down the hallway, it kind of opens up into this huge like room, and you just see suits of armor stacked around the room, and weapons of all shapes and sizes, exotic to like the most bland broadsword like displayed on the wall. And you see a very big desk, and behind it is a huge portrait of like Armitage like wielding a gigantic sword, much like most of the Phoenix do. Yeah, as you look around, there's like plaques under each weapon and each suit of armor, and there's stuff around the room that's just like items of interest and magical to non-magical, all Armitage and Athena's conquests over the years. And yeah, and Atticus goes, well, yeah, look around, like this is kind of like the trophy room and the war room where Dad would meet with Knights of the Phoenix. And yeah, I mean, a lot was talked about here, a lot was collected. Have a look-see.
Yeah. I mean, anyone that wants to could make an investigation check in this space. Look around at stuff in the war room.
Is the swords from when Athena and Armitage got married and had their like wedding fight in this room? And can I read about that in the brochure?
You can read about it in the brochure. You see that the swords are both mentioned. Fauna, without an investigation check, you would see that Armitage's sword is indeed there. As you're looking in the brochure, there is like an illustration of the two swords. Athena's sword is missing, and then you realize as you're looking at the illustration, it's because it's the sword Atticus is holding.
Oh.
Atticus has his mother's sword.
I just got an 11 on that investigation, so.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Got
you
a
see pretty. Yeah.
28.
Jesus Christ.
Boy. Oh boy.
Just
You
quietly
so
sitting on that one
nosy.
over there.
Full of weapons and armor. She's very interested.
You. How will I describe this for you, Vox? You're seeing a lot in here. As you kind of like pour over the details of these weapons and histories of wars, and including, you see, not in the library, but here, like there is a book that is in the entire accounting of the Knights of the Phoenix and their march on the South Green to drive out the darkness. You know, you flip through, you kind of get the highlights of what took place. You hear not just the Knights of the Phoenix mentioned, but also in here it mentions a few like characters that it just refers to as hedge knights. You see quick mention of like an automaton, and it just kind of appears to mention their mechanic, and then also a character that you see named Saint Florian, who it like, and you see that like Saint Florian is also like mentioned in some of like the wedding information on. So you find all that. I will say that when you get to the I think that's a good enough investigation check that that's going to get a little bonus reward when you go to the library later, because it's going to help you tie something together when you get to the library.
Yes. Yeah. Vox holds on to that, and I think it's just looking at all the weaponry.
Cool. Are we doing anything else on the tour after we leave the war room? Atticus, do you want to do anything else on the tour before you head to the library and then eventually to the council?
Yeah, Atticus is going to be like, all right, before we leave this, I'm going to show you all the good stuff. And Atticus walks up to the huge painting behind the desk, and he like presses random ornaments on like the painting, and it just cracks open. And Atticus pulls it out, and you just see this gigantic gold-plated safe, like a walk-in safe. And you see Atticus like bop bop, like touching random things, and you hear like traps disarming and things like that. And then he like enters a code, and he keeps looking over his shoulder because it's like he's like, I can't let anyone see this. And then he cracks the safe open.
Nix holds a hand up in front of Fox's eyes.
and cracks it a little bit, and he's like, this is where all the good stuff is, and as my friends, I want you to take whatever is in here that is going to suit you in battle. It's the least I can do for all of you. And Atticus is going to just rip it open.
You open it up. There's all manner of weaponry in our, I mean, the party is pretty stacked right now when it comes to like, you know, armor. Is there anything to prepare for the coming war, I suppose, that any of the party members would be interested in looking for in this place?
I have a question that might be something, but might not.
Yeah.
The bow that I have, it says it has slots built to channel magic. Is that like you have to put something in the slots, or they just channel the magic that I already have? Like, do they, like, do you know what I mean? Like, is there, like, you get like something and they fit in there, or is it just, does that just mean that like when I do spells, those channel the spells that I'm doing?
You're thinking about this as you look at the slots on the bow. Like it does, you know, the mechanics of it right now, like we discussed, are that you can channel the same way that your cat can be the origin point. You can channel a spell and fire the, thus adding like the damage of it. If it's an area of effect spell or like a spell attack, the damage of the arrow would be included, unless it's something that consumes the arrow on the way, depending on what type of spell it is. Give me an investigation check. And the cat's going to help you. Do so with advantage.
Good. Investigation isn't one of my strong suits. Okay, 18.
On an 18. Perrin, I'm going to ask you a question. I know Perrin has a lot of stuff tucked away on his person in like little bags and pockets and corners of your clothing. How visible is that sack of large marbles that you found in the Black Mountain?
I feel like that's just kind of shoved into one of his belt pouches, but like every once in a while it rattles a little bit.
Perrin, as you're bending over, one of those little marbles falls out. About so big. Kind of rolls on the floor. The cat leaps over and starts pawing at it. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's shiny. Hey, Fauna, come look at this.
What is it?
Look.
Don't touch anything. It might be
Cat,
important.
leave that alone. We eat it.
I'm not gonna
eat it.
I'm not gonna
Don't put that in your mouth.
I'm not gonna eat it. I'm not gonna eat it. It's not
you
alive,
haven't known
is
to
it?
eat things. So.
Okay, no, I understand. It's not alive. It feels cold.
Doesn't-
It's
it
a rock.
doesn't seem-
It
Perrin-
seems like a very round rock.
Is
that
this
was
yours?
one of the. Yeah, I think. Did I steal that? No, that came from the Black Mountain. Maybe I stole it. I don't remember. No, I think the moth gave me those.
Oh, well, what is it?
I don't know. I was trying to get new marbles because remember that time Vox threw a bunch of marbles and it saved all our lives? I was trying to get new
yeah.
ones, but instead I got
pretty good.
these and they're like kind of crunchy. I don't know.
Fun is you bend down to pick up the one that the cat has. Dusty, clouded. There's still almost like a faint shimmering in the center of it. Give me an Arcana check.
Uh, 15.
Some of these may have lost their potency over time, but you realize you're holding something that seems to be attuned to the bow that you carry. Same size as the slots in the bow. You think if you placed these orbs in, they hold spells that can be then like one-time spells that can be used in the bow.
Okay, Fauna's going to just like not activate the spell, but like test it out to see. Actually, would she have her bow? Probably not, because they're like going to dinner. Okay, never mind. Forget that. I don't think she would have her bow with her just while they're doing the castle tour.
But you do now know what that sack of marbles
but I could
is.
tell.
That Perrin carries,
I could tell
yeah.
it would fit in there.
Yes.
Do you? I think that I might be able to use these. Do you need them,
Go for
or
do you want these teeth too?
what are the teeth?
Oh yeah, take the teeth
out of the mouth
for sure.
Like the Balix teeth or whatever that guy's name
those
is?
are over here. These are they were just the same size as those. I think maybe if it was, I think I shot something. I don't know, raccoon.
Oh, okay, yeah. I like bones and stuff. Sure.
Ask him.
Thanks.
Ask him if he has any like meat from.
Cat, I can speak to you. Like.
Oh yeah. No. It seemed rude to ask. You were talking to Fauna.
What do you want?
Well, you've got the teeth. Do you have anything else from it?
He wants
the
a
tail,
treat.
The tail. Oh yeah. You have a treat.
Karen pulls out a thumb from one of the night guards that we killed like 6 weeks ago.
Pat, I don't think you should eat that.
Do you want this?
No, I'm gonna take it. I think.
No, I
I'm
don't
gonna
think it's
take
a good
it.
idea. It could be bad.
Yeah, it could be. But I'm gonna take it. It's
Oh my
mine.
God,
it's mine.
Karen,
Tell her
what
it's
do you
mine.
have?
She can't have it. She
While
can't
this is
have it.
going on, Atticus is like locking the safe back up and like closing up. If anyone saw him, there's just like arms and stuff. It's for like when people go to war and there's like artifacts and gems and stuff. But Atticus walks out with 4 bags and he hands a bag to each person and he's like, I don't know when we'll get we'll get another chance to pick up on some stuff, but this is for the hard travels, and each of you get 1,000 gold.
Wow. Hey, Fox, don't you have gold that we earned?
Makes
doing a
sense. It
job
hand
that's
sinks.
hard?
Ooh-wee.
No, yeah, you have your gold that we earned from that job. Yeah.
I don't think that's accurate. Didn't we get gold bars or something?
Took some out of the coffers.
I've never had this
Assortments.
much money before in my life, Atticus.
Have you ever had money in your life before this journey?
Yes, I have 100 gold.
Oh,
Is
well,
how
now
much
you
I
have
have.
1,100 gold.
That's more
Math,
gold than I
right?
had my whole life, hon. I tell you what.
So wait, is the armory closed back up?
Like the war room's open, but the safe and the
Okay.
the armory and safe
Perrin's
is
gonna look
closed.
for. He got those gloves that helped him grip his thing. He's gonna look for like gauntlets. He's looking for like a specific kind of
gauntlets.
design of gauntlets that will help with like wrapping the chain and stuff like that. But he wants
Okay.
really light ones.
Anything to make that better. We've already juiced it up quite a bit. I'm going to roll a luck
It
check.
doesn't have to actually give me anything.
Okay, cool.
That's what he's gonna look for.
For it to
I don't
give you
need
anything,
any
I'm going to do a
bonuses.
luck check, and I'm going to, on a 17 or higher, there will be a like technical aspect to these.
He just hasn't really had a chance to like adapt to having
That's a
the
4.
range,
Yeah,
so
you
I
find
feel
some
like
cool
that's- yeah.
lightweight ones that
Yeah.
kind of like fit your vibe
Perfect.
and match. And okay, finishing here in the war room and the armory. I think before everyone heads to the library to conclude the tour and perhaps all do their own investigation checks, I think we'll take our quick 10-minute break, and then we'll be back with the library and whatever follows after that.
Sweet.
Honestly, it is like that thing where it's like one time you mentioned on your birthday that you love receiving candles, and then 5 years later you look around you and you're just like, oh, fuck, I'm like neck deep in candles because that's all anyone ever gets me. Except
Never have a
in this
favorite
case, it's
animal
knives.
because you'll get everything that's that animal.
Oh, I only buy my mom little elephant things because she likes elephants.
Exactly.
Yeah. And every time anyone goes somewhere, they come back with another elephant for it. Tyler's mom is bunnies. She almost, when this was stored at her house, she was like, you don't want to just leave that with me? Has Tyler told you about the bunnies? I'm like, it's a very
Say
weird
again?
statement to start with. So Tyler told you about the bunnies.
Okay, we are back.
Perrin
you're
looks
all
for daggers and
headed
then
to
gives
you.
them the box.
Great. You are all headed now to conclude the tour in the Library of Atlas. Atticus, if you want the reins here to show people around the library, you can have them, or I can take them from you. And
Yeah, Atticus leads through, and you start seeing in the hallway, like connecting to like where the library is. You see more things about like other members of the Phoenix family. You're seeing things about people who like married into the family, or that didn't live super long but did remarkable things. You're seeing things about Atticus in their early years and their accomplishments. And then as you get down the line, you start seeing photos or portraits more so of a young boy. And you see on a thing it says Atlas Phoenix, the future of the family, and it starts talking about that, and then it just kind of ends. You see stuff about how he was very book smart. He read a lot. He spent more time in the libraries than he did at sword training or anything else, or any type of weapons training or anything like that. He was a scrawnier kid, and you just kind of see things talking about him, and then it just sort of abruptly ends as you come across a big archway into the library, and it says the Library of Atlas, and then you see on the bottom floor like a torch in like made out of like mosaic tile, and around it is a saying, "In loving memory of Atlas." And Atticus kind of stops on there, and he's like, well, I usually go through the garden first, but you know, we're short on time. But yeah, this is the Library of Atlas. Decades and centuries of writings. There are alchemy stations in here. There's a lot of different stuff going on here. This is kind of where the maesters of the house back in the day and the wizards and all that would do their research. Ash usually, when they do the tour, they give these little pins out that are hey, you did the thing. But I have these guys in the safe that haven't been out in a while, and he pulls out these like really nice like pins that like would go for like a robe or something like that, or just on a cloth, and it's just like a flame, like a golden flame with like a circlet around it, like a wreath. And he's like, not back in the day when we did dinners or had a war council or anything like that would wear these on their nicer clothes to signify that they were members of the Knights of the Phoenix. And I honestly couldn't think of any other better people to give it out to. It's a sign of respect. It still holds weight today in the South, and I think y'all have proven worthy enough to have these. If you, maybe we'll have time while we're here if you're interested in maybe being knighted. I don't know. We can do that, but for now, he's going to hand each one out to members of the party. Going to give one to Bert as well. If Cletus is there, he's going to give one to Cletus. Cletus probably already has one, but
Can I clarify one thing? Is it okay for me to wear this while I'm stealing things?
well, I wouldn't, and I hope all our time together would support that you wouldn't do that. But I guess I can't control what you're gonna do. But this is meant to be worn in more like fancy situations, like if you're going to a ball or
Gotcha.
you're going to meet with lords of a city or something like that, or you're like a delegate. Like it's more like formal attire.
They're much
Should we wear
nicer than
them
the
tonight?
pins that I give out.
Yeah, those ones are they're like for kids.
I feel like at some point, at like a nearby table that has stacks of books, one stack of the books just pushes open and Yorge is just like sitting on top of the tabletop, deep in books. There you are. You caught up with me.
Hey, Yorge. As you enter, it is gigantic. It's like books and scrolls and scribes all the way to the ceiling. There's 2 stories in here, like, and they're just, the walls and the shelves are just crammed full of stuff that looks newer. Like people that work here try to keep the library up to date with stuff, but there are things that look ancient. And if you look far ahead, there's like a specific section that's kind of locked away. That's like really, really old, like really old stuff.
Atticus, do you mind if I get a second with you?
Yeah. Everyone, go ahead and look around. Maybe you'll find a book that you want to take on your journeys. Yeah. And then Atticus is going to step away with Yorge.
Cool. Yeah, well,
How are
Atticus,
you, how are you liking?
Perrin immediately is like putting like 3 books in his pockets.
Did he even look at what they were first, or they just
No, whatever ones look like. They have the
everyone,
most
just
gold
make
on
sure
them.
to check out with the librarian if you're going to take anything.
Perrin puts them back.
Way over there. She's probably sitting on a desk right in front of all like the forbidden ancient text stuff.
Wait, those sound like good books. I'm gonna go look at those.
Cool. You can definitely. Everyone, while Atticus and Yorge are having their little interaction, I mean, everyone, go ahead and make me an investigation check.
I had my 28, but I re-rolled again to see what I would get, and I got a 27.
Okay, cool.
Can I look for something specific?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead and roll the investigation check, and then when I come back to you and ask what your check was, you can tell me to what you would be looking for. Because I have there's a lot of different stuff here that you all can discover. But yeah, if Yorge and Atticus are going to have a little powwow, go for it.
How are you liking the library? Anything to your finding?
Oh yeah, it's got a lot of books. I think I went here once when I was a kid, or younger at least. I traveled to all the major libraries, but it's quite a bit bigger. They expanded it a lot over the last 100 years or so. Your big bird fella, the one that's like trying to kill all of you and all that. I found out some things about him.
Oh yeah.
Does the
lay
name
it on me?
Liliana? Does that ring a bell?
It would, Atticus. You would recognize,
grandma, great grandma.
Grandma, yeah.
Yes,
that's
that's
Armitage's mother.
Yeah, that's my dad's mom. That's Granny Phoenix.
He's just gonna like put some of these like writings out in front of Atticus.
Atticus,
So
you
it's,
would. Should also mention you would also know that she died from the Phoenix Rot the day that you were born, so you never actually met her.
Oh, Ord.
I feel like
What's
Atticus
this
could like
about,
read like 10% of these words because some of it's primordial, some of it's abyssal.
I know both those languages.
Easier.
Oh, boom.
Even the ancient versions.
I think even the ancient versions, like knowing both those languages, Atticus, you're able to parse. It's maybe not as definitive and clear as it was for Yorge, but I think you're able to piece together everything that Yorge learned earlier from this.
Oh, Atticus is for sure going like, I'm unfamiliar with this word, like he's pointing out words that he's getting lost in translation, and he's like, true Phoenix fault, what? Like,
so it seems like they did this. There wasn't a phoenix before this. They tried to call it down. They did a spell, and they brought this thing into the world, and it ate its brothers, and that's it's not a curse. It's like a demigod.
I had a feeling it wasn't just something that crawled out of the mud.
You're taking this so calmly. Is a demigod something normal for you lot?
Well, Yorge, I mean, I have been plagued by this entity for most of my life. I mean, you come up with a lot of theories in a long time. You think maybe like you got cursed somehow, like maybe you are carrying a haunted item and you chuck things into a river every once in a while just to make sure. You try and change your name to see if it's like a name relation thing. But I mean, outer entity was kind of on my list at this point. I mean, it's had a lot of time to narrow it down.
So this unkillable demigod, your plan is to go poke it with some sticks?
Some sharp sticks. I don't know. I know my mama talked about something like this happening before, and they were able to push it back. Maybe we can find... maybe I can find something in here that can enlighten. I'm sure my mom used to write a lot. Maybe she has a journal around here or something.
Oh, all right. Well, I've got a theory, at least, of what you might try.
Lay it
This
on
is,
me. I'm all ears.
It's the offspring of the actual phoenix, and it doesn't take after its pa. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm shooting at the wind here, but what if you tried to redo the ritual and call down the real true phoenix, not for immortality, but to reclaim its ill-gotten offspring?
I mean, yeah, it looks like that's what they tried to do originally. Do you have a I'm game for anything. And I like a good little calling a papa down to take care of his misbehaving boy. So, yeah, what's your suggestion on that?
Well, I don't know. I'll poke around the edges of it. It's not, we're talking about large magic one way or the other, but it just seems to me like you still have a heritage. You're the one who can make that appeal. It's less about the magic and more about whether or not you can convince this thing it's the right thing to do.
Do we need like a conduit of some? I mean, Phoenix Manor is a deeply ancient and magical place. I don't know if you checked in the backyard at all, but there's a grotto back there that is, at least my mom used to tell me, full of deep, powerful secrets. And would that maybe be a place to conduct a ritual?
Yorge is kind of spitting in the dark here, Elijah, but, would it make sense to suggest, the original location of Ord? Would that have magical significance? Is there something that might be a starting place?
Give me an Arcana check. And do so with advantage. You have a lot of information at your disposal here about this.
I did forget to mention to everybody, within the library, if you're going to the center library, there is an enormous scorch mark ingrained into the tile. Think of note.
It's 22.
On a 22.
Again, exclusively, I'm not asking for a full ritual to be fully designed, but just a starting place.
I think I'm going to lump into this a little bit because I think, in this, I didn't have you make a religion check too, but I think in this case, your Arcana, Yorge, is going to overlap, as magic often does, into the realm of different deities and spirits and powers in this world. You think that doing it in order, that wouldn't have a lot of particular significance. In fact, if anything, it's almost not the kind of case where lightning wouldn't strike twice in the same place, but more so it's already been bent in a certain direction there. So it might, if you did it in order, it might perhaps even be more difficult to do it correctly, since it was done incorrectly there the first time. On a 22, you get two things, Yorge. One is that it's not so much that they did the ritual incorrect the first time as far as the steps that they undertook, and it was the intent. And the intent there was to bind something to their will, something that no mortal, regardless of whether they're a member of the court or not, should have the power to wield. So instead of a supplication or request, it was an order. And you think that is what broke the ritual. The second thing is that the best place for this to happen would be to find an altar of the true Phoenix. You've never heard or seen of one. The Phoenix is not a thing that's it's like the Phoenix itself as an entity or a spirit is rarely mentioned outside of the Phoenix family, just because they're thought to be like kind of the one tie to it. So people don't talk a lot about this thing, because it's kind of like when there's an entire noble family that exists in a world that is also linked to this, you're kind of like, well, that's their thing. So we're not going to try and really learn about this thing that isn't ours anyway. Like, it's not our gift. It's not our... So why would we... There's really not a lot about the true Phoenix. But that would be a place to start, is to try and track down some sort of altar or temple to the true Phoenix.
Gotcha. Yeah, Yorge relays all that.
Cool.
Near as I can figure, this whole area has been kind of corrupted by this connection to this fake Phoenix, so it's probably not going to be local unless it's buried in some way. So we're looking for something older than that.
Atticus,
yeah,
I would let you go ahead and roll me. For you, I think we will call this a religion check. Or, we could call it a history check too. Either way. You do whichever of the two you want.
I rolled a 16 and then history plus 5, so 21.
Whew. Okay. You've never been to it. You do know that on the way down to St. Florian, you remember hearing your mother mention a story once that there was like this small village. It may be a lot of villages in the centuries that you've been around, Atticus, have come and gone in the south. They'll be here for a few hundred years, and then a bog seeps in and swallows up the village, and, the people move somewhere else. Sometimes it's something a little more sinister. Like there are things in the South Green other than Akron that have ill intent. And it's not always a safe place outside of the bigger civilizations like St. Florian or near Phoenix Manor. But you have heard of a small place on the way down to St. Florian.
Yeah, I think my mom used to tell me about this place off the path when we'd go on our trips to St. Florian. I think that might be a place to start.
Yeah, all right. It's seems like as good a place as any. You should hang on to this book. I think you could probably have your magician reconstruct the ritual.
Yeah, Atticus is gonna take the book, and he's gonna glare at the librarian named Matilda. Her name is Matilda, and she knows Atticus can take whatever she wants, but she tries to make him follow the rules. Atticus just like, and what?
I assume you're gonna be bringing that back.
Possibly. I mean, who knows? Who knows when I'll be back? I'll bring it back eventually.
Yeah, well, I hope you bring it back before my granddaughter's dead.
Well, when you put
Good to see you again, Atticus.
Oh, Matilda, I missed you so. Atticus is gonna look at Yorge and be like, now, have you found anything on the Burt Atlas dilemma by chance?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as I can tell, the place we need to do the ritual is underneath here. I've been there once before. It was over a century ago. But yeah, I think we just need to get down to the bottom layers of the castle here and dig around a bit.
Yorge, how old are you?
Oh, like 240?
Oh wow, nice. Were you here for like one of the knighting ceremonies in the grotto?
No, I was doing a little of my internship.
No shit. Did you do an internship here?
Oh, it was like a brief remote placement. It wasn't the full internship. It was just a few weeks.
Oh wow, awesome.
As you all,
I probably was.
I'll discuss the internship. We're gonna go around. Everyone, go ahead and give me those. I know I heard Vox's was a 27 on investigation. Atticus, I'll let you. You've been in this library before, but I'll let you give me one too. There's always room to discover new stuff here. It's a big library. Fauna, what was yours?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. We'll move right on to Nyx.
I also rolled low, but I felt this was important, so I used a point and got a 19.
Okay.
Can I use a
also got a
point?
19, so
I don't know why. All I want is to find a cool book in the library, and
Yeah.
literally every time I investigate a library, I roll a nat 1. Every
Fauna,
time.
you've got the cat, so you can make your investigation with advantage.
Oh, thank God. But the cat can't read or anything, right? Like, how would it
Yeah,
help me find a book?
But maybe the cat knocks off the right book. I don't know. Cats
Wait, maybe
have...
can I ask the librarian for help?
Sure, yeah. You go ahead and ask Matilda for help.
Thank you.
What if the librarian loves cats? I used my busted inspiration that I've been sitting on for like 3 months, and I got that crit 20.
This was a really good time to use that.
How does that work?
The busted inspiration that everyone got is it can't be used for an attack roll. And it's basically like a coin flip, like an odds or even thing. Odds is a 1, evens is a odds counts as a nat 1, evens counts as a nat 20.
Okay.
So you can turn something like you can turn a check into like a 50-50 roll, either critically fail or critically succeed.
Yeah, I gave mine to Aaliyah in the dream sequence, if you remember.
Yep.
Did I use it? Literally already forgot. Okay,
Yeah.
but I thought so.
I also have one, but I think I'm going to save it.
Okay. Fauna, you give me that. What was that advantage roll?
It was 19 this time.
Whew, okay, so you and Nyx the same. Fauna, what are you looking for here in the library?
So I think Fauna has very recently learned some things about herself that she didn't know. One is like the Court of Flowers thing. And then the other thing is like, I guess she doesn't really know any details, but like she met her mom and it was in the Feywild. And so any sort of like Feywild things that might lead her to more information about her parentage / lineage and also Court of Flowers, because for the same, she's just trying to figure out more about herself.
Okay, yeah. And you got
I don't know why I guess she just hasn't had a chance to talk to Perrin about it yet, but also I think the whole thing was a lot like the thing with her mom, and so I don't know if she's ready to talk about it yet, so she's just trying to see if she can learn anything on her own.
On a 19, specifically looking for the Court of Flowers, you find 2 things. The first thing that you find is you find, also the same way that Yorge found one of the true names of the court, you find the true name for the Court of Flowers. And it is the Court of the Quiet Flowers. In addition to that, you see that there are 3 individuals directly mentioned as like the main lineage to the Court of Flowers, like a lot of the descendants from the Court of Flowers. Basically, like they come from this line. The 3 people that you find mentioned are, and I think now that your memories have been returned intact twice now, both the ones that like Balak changed in that moment in the forest, and also like the memories shifting around and getting a little warbly when Perrin made that deal with the Door Lord. All of that is returned. So the 3 names that you see here, all siblings, are Oricastris, who I think you would recognize as being Perrin's adoptive father, and also supposedly that was who Perrin came and got you from, like in the dead of night in the Feywilds. You see the name Oricanthus, and you see the 3rd name, Erlantris. In
spell that one?
Erlantris, Urlantris. And there's kind of a particular, thing. One of the things that is mentioned about Erlantris that sticks out to you is the fact that she had these black antlers. Matilda looks up at you. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Do you have any more books about this?
That's the only one I know of, sweetheart. Now, if you could please get your cat off the desk, I am so allergic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cat, come over here.
It's all right. Sorry,
Can
just
I
my throat
check
is
this?
closing up. And
I apologize for that. Can I check this out and then I'll be out of your hair?
if you
And the
get your
will be
cat
fine.
out of here, you can keep it.
Cat,
Yeah,
go, go help.
she's allergic
go
to a
help.
lot of things.
Matilda just starts listing the things she's allergic to.
Peanut butter, maple trees, willow trees, oak trees, dirt.
She just kind
Sure.
of like keeps on going down as nobody is listening. As you walk away with the cat. Nyx, you got a 19 on your investigation check. What are you looking for?
True to Nyx, they have very few memories. The memories that they do have, I think they hang on to a little tighter. And recent ones been floating around in their head, specifically interactions with Waning Night and especially now with Yorge, mentions of the Abshuria Ellen. And I think they've been going through a bit of like not even knowing what their purpose was when they were a child. They've spent most of their life, like they were trained by the Waxing Knight to just survive. They were the last one of their house, and their childhood was cut short by war. And so it was just survive and carry this on. And I think they're a little bit of like, well, was there something more if I had a chance for it? So they'll see what they can find on that.
Well, on a 19, you find... I did have one little thing written down here. On a 19, you also... I mean, not news to Yorge already knew the name, but you now, Nyx, for the first time, learn the true name to the Court of Night as the Court of Guarding Night. In addition, there's not a lot here. You don't find a lot on your heritage. You're realizing a lot of what's here, like, it doesn't trace. You see like one or two mentions in this space of the King's Loon, your fathers, but not a lot about them. Not even their lineage, where they come from. And then you find an old parchment, just kind of a collection of little, we'll call it like almost lullabies and bedtime stories, specifically from the Nightlands. It's kind of like in this little matte black bound book, and there's a lot of illustrations in it too. As you're flipping through this, you see some familiar like stories that you remember being told as a child. A lot of lighter fare in here. You do see some old favorites of yours as well. And then you come to the end. And there is just an illustration of kind of like a half arch of the moon in different phrases. And beneath it, in very illustrious script, is a poem that you do not remember hearing as a child. And I will read for you now what you read in the book. Bright the stars and firmament,
and bold the waxing moon. Their sacred light illuminates and blooms the heart anew. The dark can hold 1,000 upon 1,000 wicked dreams. All of these quake pale against the courage within thee. Yet of the things that walk within the velvet realm of night, beware a king without a crown who hides within plain sight. For beyond shadow, cast by stone, lay a horror no one knew. And brave must be the throne of old when comes the waning moon.
And I think, Nyx, you recall that moment that you had with the waning night when you were a child, where you overheard the argument with your father, and then the story of the Abshuri Alin from the waning night's mouth to your young ears, and telling you that when the time came, you would be the first defense against this thing.
Nyx is gonna slip that in.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Okay. Nyx, that is what you find. I'm gonna skip over Perrin for now to do Perrin's nat 20 on the investigation of the library. Vox, you had a 27. Tell me what you're looking for.
I think Vox would be looking for stuff about the Orbis and Simulacron. That's the goal in mind of getting there, is to get Atlas out of Bert.
Yeah. You find here a lot of helpful, probably some of the same. You're realizing, God, you got a 27. Actually, you're going to realize a lot. You're going to realize a lot. Okay, hold on. Vox, you are looking through to find mention of the Erebus, to find, you heard the thing about the simulacrum. You're trying to find some sort of thread, some way to help. I think Vox is, how many did you just hit Rune Knight in your fighter levels, or are you a couple levels into it?
Just hit Rune Knight.
Okay,
she's level 3 fighter. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you just hit Rune Knight. For just hitting Rune Knight, you're doing a pretty good job following this thread of Arcana, because you do indeed find things here on an Erebus, but more so on a simulacrum, on creating a perfect copy of a body. And as you go through it, I'm going to give you... you're about to walk down the same path of learning things that Atlas did when he was a child. And you know this because as you were going through the book, you see on a lot of these notes about simulacrums, you see these little handwritten notes that go reference this book. Once you finish reading this part, go check this book. You'll find this book in the library in this place. Go reference this section because it will tell you more about how this part works and why it's important. And you see all of these is signed with a little signature that after a couple times reading it, you can parse out, does say Atlas. And you realize that you are following Atlas's footsteps through this library of learning about this thing. You learn, again, everything about an Erebus is reiterated. Generally, it can be multiple, but that is a lot for one body to contain. There are usually some very drastic effects when it's more than one soul, more than two souls. Again, you're on a time limit to separate them, and also when a physical body becomes an Erebus, it will begin to take on, the body itself will begin to shift to reflect that almost immediately. they become inseparable after several months, and it's really an entirely new person. About like the souls, the consciousnesses, they join, the memories become one stream of like whatever ends up remaining. You know, you find the fact that when you separate, if you indeed are like within the time frame to separate those souls from an Erebus, that you need a simulacrum there to then redirect that soul back into. It can be like the simulacrum could be a different body. It will be easiest to do if the simulacrum is a copy of the body that the soul once inhabited. And as you're going through all this, you're walking back and forth across that big scorch mark that Atticus mentioned near the entrance of the library. And then you notice as you're doing this, like, there's a note here that says to go reference this book about this section of the simulacrum spell. And it leads you to a section near that. You notice something here. The books, everything in this library is meticulously, like you see, even while people are looking at books and pulling them out, you do see Matilda isn't doing anything. Ash is running around just putting books back into place and dusting things. Like Ash is desperately trying to keep this as like in order as he can. This space right next to this scorch mark where there's just kind of a small little shelf of books sitting on a table. There's a few, like, the lighting in here, again, like it's evening, so it's kind of like there's no sunlight pouring in the windows anymore, but it is lit by these just sort of bright glowing orbs that hang suspended in different sections in the library. This little section right here seems untouched. So much so that there is dust caked here for, you think, God, maybe centuries. There are cobwebs that, like, in the midst of all this meticulous, this little section right here, untouched. You're looking at the scorch mark. You're looking at this section. You don't even have to read the next book. That's a very high investigation, Fox. It all clicks. Atlas saying his son was lost. You knowing the consequences now that you've read through the like components and what you have to undertake to create a simulacrum. Atlas tried to create a simulacrum in this space. And he tried to create a simulacrum of himself. You don't know why, but that's the spell that he was trying to undertake. There was something that he did incorrectly near the end of the spell that resulted in his death. And you see the evidence of it right here. And with a high enough investigation, give me an Arcana check with advantage.
Oh, I'm so glad I had advantage, because that was a nat 1. Come on.
Nice.
That's a dirty 20 now.
On a dirty 20, you know what it feels like to have a ritual be hanging in the airbox, because you remember that prickly feeling back in the Red Keep when your uncle had you all in there wading into a trap like a spell. This is not a ritual. It is a ritual. This is not a trap that lingers here, but rather a spell that was incomplete because it lacked a key something in the spell that it didn't have. Maybe not an ingredient, but a location. But that spell still hangs in the air here. And you think because of that, the spell latently hangs around the grounds, and all it needs is a little push in the right location to finish it.
I think Box is gonna slam that book shut. Like, all right. So, apparently we just need to do it somewhere else and not here. Any idea?
Wait, what?
This,
Look at books?
Do what?
Do what? Sorry.
this
Are you
finish-
wearing my mom's cloak?
I mean,
It looks good on you.
wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, maybe should have gone to Riviana, but Anyways, the spell.
Well, it's
what
my mom,
Atlas
so.
was doing, recreating himself, trying to make the simulacron of himself. He did it not wrong, but he didn't do it in the right area. So we just need to find that area, and then I think we can split them.
Wait, hold on. You're saying Atlas was trying to do what?
He was trying to duplicate himself. That's where it went
Why would he
wrong
want to do that?
here.
Atticus, like,
Atticus, what was your
Looks-
investigation check?
19.
Do you want me to tell you something now? Because
Sure,
as Vox
yeah.
tells you this, I think on a 19 investigation, something's going to click.
Yeah.
Atlas had told you that they believed that they were onto something that could help the family, that could alleviate the curse, the rot, as you referred to it. When Vox says that about Atlas attempting to create a simulacrum, you think Atlas, as smart as he was, he was a 12-year-old boy. He was stumbling through spell work that some casters, wizards mostly, could go their entire lives without learning the secrets of. And he was kind of stumbling through it blind. Finishing sections of the ritual, adding components when they were needed. Not even truly perhaps knowing what he was doing. And perhaps some level of foresight or intuition was guiding him. But his thought was that if he could create a copy of his body and then successfully move his soul to that copy, it would break. Like the curse wouldn't affect him in that new copied body.
Atticus, is processing all this. And he is looking down at the scorch mark and kind of looking at the party, and he just kind of says, he's like, I watched my boy burn alive. Watched him turn to literal ash. He was smart. He was a smart kid. Thought maybe a little too smart for his own good. I mean, he used to talk about, I think, I figured out a way for something that is bad that happens to all of us to not happen anymore. And, when I was a kid, I thought the same thing. I thought, maybe one day I'll figure out how to, not fall like the others fell before me. And I chalked it up to, a childlike imagination. But this makes sense if he was trying to physically alter something. But it went wrong, and up until recently, he's gonna look at Bert, and up until recently, this was the only memory I had of him, and so you're saying there was a step made wrong? Is that what you're insinuating?
From what I've read, I think that he just had the wrong location. I think that the spell is just incomplete right now. It's still here. It just needs to be done in the proper place.
You're just like
Yorge.
scribbling notes in his notebook and like he's doing the hangover math in the air scene right
Perfect.
George,
No,
didn't you mention that the solution was in the grotto to me?
He might have gotten there on accident. He might have just not realized that that was important. It's the solution for us to get them split apart, but it was the solution he needed too. These are locations designed for this kind of magic.
Yeah, Atticus is... What do we need to... Do we just need to go there with Bert? What do we need to do?
Well, this just got easier. Yeah, now we just have to split them apart. That means, like, his body might still exist, just not here, not constituted. But if that's the case, that just took maybe a third of the difficulty off. I'll need some candles. I'll need to draw up some rituals. We'll need to all go down there and basically just kind of merge souls for a little bit. I can initiate the start. We'll focus point on Fauna here, and I think we can do it.
Dinner can wait. He's gonna look at Bert, kind of like kneel down and look in his eyes and be like, "Hey, are you ready to become a knight?"
Okay.
Atticus, you asked this question. Bert is looking up at you, standing just several feet away from the scorch mark at the entrance to the library. And as Bert looks up at you, you see that Ash is just eyes locked onto Bert.
The frog. The spell didn't work. Oh, I can't remember anything.
You see, like, clenching so hard that joints begin to pop in Ash. Your shield, Atticus, speaks, and I mean everyone can hear the shield when it talks. If you're close enough, it's not whispering. It's nothing directly in Atticus's head, but the shield speaks up.
If you are worried, Master Bert, in what the trials to enter knighthood might be, I think perhaps I have a story that could set you at ease. Many stories I collected as the spirit of the well, and one in particular comes to mind when I think of you. Long ago, there was a sacred place, the last of its kind in Namira. Magic flowed through it like water through the channel of a river. And on the edge of that blessed meadow, often there would come a small boy who would play at being a knight. Now, little did the boy know, but his adventures and his stories and his courage were heard by every creature of the meadow. And one creature in particular, a humble frog who would sit and watch the boy play at being a knight, found itself the host of all that magic flowing through that place and into him, making the frog a little more than just a frog. And that frog came to love the boy and came to live longer than most creatures would. But of course it would. The frog was magic. And that frog lived to see the boy become a man, and the man become a knight. And he came to the meadow less, but the frog waited there. And in time, the boy had a son. And the frog also loved the son. But the son was different. He was...
And as all of you are hearing this story, you see Bert is kind of standing there listening. And as he's listening, just sort of absent-mindedly reaches out, not even really looking, and clicks something into place in the back of Ash's head. Ash stiffens up, and the eyes flare up, and then like a projector begin to play out cuts of a scene on the wall of a library. And Atticus, you see your son, Atlas, scurrying about the library, just as like a little, like 6 years old, like going about like reading books, climbing onto stacks of books, toppling them, getting chased around by like who knows which of Matilda's ancestors, and growing up. And you see pretty quickly into this little like flash cut that, you know, obviously this is after Ash was built. This, Atlas built Ash at an incredibly young age. So you're kind of seeing it from Ash's point too, like the clips, you know, continue to shift depending on where Ash was in the library at the time. But you see that for most of these clips, there is a large kind of like open terrarium in the corner of the library, near where you're all standing now, where the scorch mark is. And you see in that terrarium, one day, a very young, maybe 6 or 7 year old Atlas comes back holding a little frog. And he puts the little frog in the terrarium. And, you know, he's little. Sometimes, you know, he'll forget about the frog for days at a time. It's okay. There's enough insects, things in here like that come into the terrarium. It's open. The frog can eat. You see the frog just sits there a lot of the time and watches Atlas as he's in the library. And when Atlas remembers, he'll go and he'll, you know, get out the frog and play with him, take the frog around the library, and you see him reading books to you even see a book that like you can see the title of one of the books that he's reading, this collection of fairy tales called The Gray King and Other Stories, to this little frog in the terrarium. And then the montage starts to slow down a little bit, Atticus. And before it even starts to play, you get a feeling in the pit of your stomach. And you know, because Ash was there the day that the spell was cast. Do you keep watching, or do you turn away?
Atticus would keep watching, just very like stone-faced. I think in his head it's, like he's been around so long, sometimes memories get foggy, and it's a good reminder for him, so he knows what's coming, and he's gonna watch.
Atticus and the rest of the party, you are all watching this take place. You watch the day that Atticus comes in. You watch a ritual being painstakingly prepared. The frog there in the terrarium watching, all from Ash's point of view. It is later in the evening, and through whatever, like the view that you're getting, you see that there is no librarian there. Like the librarian is either off duty or has been conned into leaving the library. Atlas has the place to himself, with the exception of Ash and the frog.
I think Perrin crosses over and like puts an arm on Atticus's shoulder.
All of you see the steps of this ritual take place, and you see the moment of the cast. And I think in this moment of the cast, like within the frame, you see Atticus looking, much the same as he does now, with the exception of he does have a very large mustache. Step in as the spell begins to go awry. And because it is Atlas, because this is like a 12-year-old child that we're talking about, I'm not going to go into terrible detail. Suffice to say, it is truly horrific. What happens?
Soon as like the moment like starts, everyone sees it, and Atticus just lets out a guttural scream and just fucking kicks Ash across the wall, like across the fucking library, like completely, and just fucking walks over and just like smashes his fist through a fucking table. You have never seen Atticus this fucking raw before, and they're just panting and just fucking like weeping, those angry tears, he's very angry, but you can hear the sobbing under that anger. And he just he starts panting. He's like, I couldn't fucking do anything about it.
Maybe you can now, Atticus.
Bert looks over to you, Atticus, and you see there are tears in Bert's eyes. The montage still playing, now it's just showing the aftermath of the scene. It's getting a little flashy, and as you can tell that Ash is concentrating so hard on recollecting this next part out. Whatever happened when the spell misfired was also probably what fucked him up. Bert looks over to you with tears in his eyes. I think Atticus, I think I did something. And what you see, all of you who are looking at the screen next, anyone who's watching it, go ahead and give me an Arcana check.
Yorge is at a 19. Aaron is busy.
18.
15.
I got a nat 1.
Fauna,
I'm
I
good
think
at 18, but I feel like I should roll at disadvantage.
I think for this, because it's because of this, I'm going to say this is a group check, like all of you are watching, and what all of you see in an almost invisible image, but you feel the sense of it. You see a conscious creature, more than a frog, something imbued with all the magic of the unbroken green, whose only desire was to be a hero, because this creature grew up on tales of being a knight and being a hero. You see the spell happen. Alice's body is torn asunder. And in that moment when his spirit would have left the mortal realm, you see that frog reach out and take the soul in. And in that moment that it takes the soul in, a small door opens underneath it, and it falls through.
Atticus is kind of like calmed down, and he's like putting back on parts that fell off of Ash, that he like kicked off of him, and trying to, and he's just very quiet. Yeah, and he looks at Bert, and he's so conflicted right now, because it's like he did a good thing, but like I don't know if Atticus is taking that as like Atlas fucked up the spell and Bert stepped in the way to save the day, or like he like did something that messed up the ritual. I don't know.
I think while Atticus is
he's gonna go like kneel over to Bert and like wipe the tears out of his eyes, and in a calm voice say like, "Thank you for saving my boy. I remember you on the riverbanks now. Gosh, it's been so long."
Yeah. Yeah, it's been... Boy, it's been something, huh?
You've always wanted to be a hero, huh?
Well, I mean, as long as I can remember.
I think what you did is the most heroic thing that anything can do, that anyone can do.
Well, if I did that already, I guess I reckon I'm ready to become a knight then. You know, maybe we do it after, you know, after we get your boy out of me and safe, so it's not such a mess up here. You know, two souls and all.
I hate
Yeah, Atticus is gonna stand up and just kind of look at the party, and again,
I
think
hate to be
dinner
the
can
one
wait.
to say this out loud, but I think somebody needs to. If Alice's soul is what anthropomorphized Bert, then taking Atlas's soul away might. We don't know what will happen to Bert.
You think I'd change? I'd go back to...
I don't know, but I think we should at least all acknowledge that it could be a possibility.
Well, I mean, all them heroics wouldn't mean much if I if I backed out now. I couldn't really call myself a knight if I wasn't willing to put my body on the line. Atticus, we got to do this. We got to see it through. And what happens to me, well, then that's what happens to me.
Spoken like a true Knight of the Phoenix already. I can't tell you what to do, Bert. You're your own person. But I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that I miss my boy terribly.
Yeah. He misses you too. Where's that Yorge fell? Yorge, let's...
Yeah, no, I'm still here.
Yeah, let's, well, where we gotta go?
Atticus, do you have a storeroom full of, like, weird shit? Need some copper wire and candles and ash and bone.
Yeah.
Oh, I have like 5
Yeah.
of those things in my bag.
Jesus Christ, fuck.
Yeah,
of course you do.
Matilda also has a storage room for all that stuff for when people travel. I mean, I feel like you might know that, but yeah, it's right next to, if you go down this hall, it's right next to a plaque that says the Knight That Never Was.
Right, okay, alright. Just, I've got a few things I need to prepare in there. Does somebody want to help mix some things?
I'd be happy to, I'd be happy to help.
Right. Let's go smush some stuff and put them in bottles and things.
Okie dokie.
I'm gonna take Bert for a walk real quick. I'll meet y'all in the grotto.
Yeah. Before we cut to that, is there anything before we cut? We'll probably make that our last little.
Perrin takes
bit.
his Nat 20 book and checks it out.
Yeah. Tell me what you were looking for on that Nat 20, Perrin.
This is actually good timing. I think he was just following his heart. I think he just kind of walked around and he just picked up a book and now he's checking it out. It just feels right.
Okay. You get to learn 2 more things, Perrin, about Akron. And the first thing that you learn is that wading through lore, you follow your heart, and you open a book that seems new, like brand new. It almost seems like it was hidden here to, maybe to hide amongst all the other books because it was where someone might not find it. On a Nat 20 investigation, you can tell that this book was put here recently and perhaps someone came to the manor and was in possession of this book and then realized it was a bad thing to be in possession of here at this manor and so attempted to hide it. It is similar to the journal that you found before from the remnants of Ord. You think this is another collection of cult writings, and you find in here a small collection of them, of the things that are not reiterated that you already know. You find 2 things. One is that the pact that Akron entered into with the Phoenix family is binding not only to the Phoenix family, but it is also how Akron survives. Because without that bargain, if Akron doesn't renew that pact every 1,000 years, it will be returned to its plane of origin. So it has to renew the bargain. It is in a symbiotic relationship with maybe at one point the Court of Flame, but now the only survivors of the Court of Flame are the Phoenix family. And without their renewal of the bargain, at least once every 1,000 years, it cannot exist in the plane anymore. Does that mean that it would go quietly? You don't know. Maybe not. It might leave, it might do some damage on the way out. It might leave a hole in the heart of the world. You don't know. But it doesn't want this to happen. It needs Atticus, or at least a member of the Phoenix family, to renew this bargain. The second thing that you find is this, and it is probably the most important thing that you could have found. That is that Akron, or the darkness as it's been known in some places, or the false Phoenix, it was behind the Ord break. It is also the reason why the Black Garden is the Black Garden. The Black Garden was once the most lush green place in all of Namira. Akron has made its mark on many places in Namira over the centuries that it has existed. Well over a millennia. There is one place in Namira that it has never been. And that is the Unbroken Green. And you see a note in here. If there is one weakness that this thing has, it is the magic that exists in the Unbroken Green. And you kind of read this right before the sort of the events that you were mid-read in this. You realize as Atticus and Bert leave the room, I don't know how much Perrin knows what happened with Cletus, because Fauna would know that Cletus is now Cletus is tethered to the Unbroken. That was the replacement for breaking the connection with Akron, was the magic of the Unbroken Green. So now Cletus is tethered to that too. But Perrin, you are watching a small frog who, yes, while they are an Erebus and they have transformed because of, they exist as a powerful magic creature that is made entirely of the stuff that Akron is terrified of.
Bert?
Huh?
Honestly, Bert, because it seems like I won't have another chance to say this. You're terrible at a lot of things. And you...
Okay.
Definitely. You ate my biscuit before they were finished.
Yeah, I did eat your biscuit. I should fess up to that.
You never finished a full watch.
Nope, never did. Famously.
Right. But you've been a really good friend, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to keep you alive. Isn't a lot, granted, but you're my friend, and you're a good friend and a good knight.
Well, Perrin, I think you're a pretty okay knight, but you're a real good friend too.
Yeah. I know that's not true, but I appreciate you saying it.
Yeah, well, everyone has their opinions. All right, well, I'm going with Atticus out to the yard. I guess I'll see y'all down at the grotto.
He's too chipper lately.
and Atticus and Bert leave the library. Is there anything else that anyone is doing before we cut to that? Before heading down to the grotto?
I think just before they leave, Nyx is just going to just lightly touch Atticus's wrist, and in a less intimate way. It was done with Benath, and it's something that I've wanted to note before, but in Nightlands, like, their salute and their sign of honor is like tipping their forehead towards them. And even if you're like passing, saying goodbye to someone, like, you acknowledge. And I think they're just going to lightly tip their forehead to his, probably going on tiptoe to reach. And in a whisper, just like, I'm so sorry, Atticus. No one should ever have to have seen that, have gone through that. You didn't know. And you're going to fix it now. You're going to get your boy back.
Atticus just silently does that and like tips his head down to where Nyx and Atticus's forehead is touching, kind of like that, like almost warrior thing of like I feel you, and like
acknowledging.
He just kind of like acknowledges and like kind of like has his hand on her head and just does that thing, and then walks off with Bert and just goes, all right, Bert, like, we're going to the garden real quick.
Yeah, you head out to the garden with Bert.
Before Bert dips out, you are one of the few pure things in this world.
Oh,
and
boy.
They're going to also press their forehead to him and then just step away.
Give me an Arcana check.
That's a 10.
Okay. Yeah, and a 10. I think this is maybe the intentionally, like, the closest you've ever been to Bert and been, like, in, and you feel, too, that magic of the end, probably the same steady hum that you would have felt while walking on it. You feel that within Bert. It's powerful. Not even like Cletus, where, like, you know, Cletus is tethered to the unbroken green now as like a substitution for, you know, the magic or the power of Akron that existed to bring him back and keep him alive. And now that's the unbroken green is that tether instead. With Bert, it is like this, aside from the fact that, you know, he also carries Atlas's soul, this whole being is just made of that magic. He is also kind of, in effect, his own living spell.
Yeah, Nyx says goodbye to both and lets them go.
As Atticus is walking with Bert, he's like, well, I'm gonna let you in on a little thing that we do for new initiates. There's always one last thing a knight asks of his squire. Asks them to do something for them. One final thing. So this is your final task as a squire. Do you think you're up for it? As they get to the garden, they see like just beautiful like indigenous plants of the region, and it's very well maintained. And while they're walking, I'm like, I used to come down here with my ma, and we used to garden down here. And this is something that you may feel familiar with because I did the same with Atlas.
Okay.
But the last thing I'm going to ask you to do is look for a couple plants. They can be vegetables of sorts or pretty plants, and
Okay.
collect some seeds from each one of them.
Okay, yeah. I can do that. Find some seeds.
It's a 17 plus 0 for the nature check, but it's a 17 on the die. Bert finds some seeds. Comes to like probably a couple. Like he finds some seeds in a little bit of overripe fruit that hangs from one of the trees. Finds some, like there's some flowers that kind of like shoot out their seeds almost on tendrils from the bloom when they're in the thick of it. He comes back with a little palm full of.
Okay. I think I got a few different ones here.
Yeah, Atticus is gonna pull like a little like cloth out of his pocket or like something and put the seeds and tie them in a bag and hand them back to Bert. He's like, and another thing we do before a knight is inducted into the Knight of the Phoenix is tell them their first mission as a knight.
Okay. Well, my first. I mean, I'm assuming, you know, after the grotto and all this business, with that nasty old bird is done.
Yeah.
Okay.
You will be sent off on your first mission. Are you
Okay.
ready to hear what it is?
Yeah.
Do you remember that sweet little family of farmers we met outside of Mago?
I remember. I remember him really well.
Do you remember what I told them?
Well, you told them they were a real nice family, and you told them thanks for letting us stay, and that we were headed to Imago, and that they were welcome down here at the seeds. You told them you'd send someone back with seeds to help them. You know, they're fine because they were struggling, and yeah, I remember.
Your first official mission as a Knight of the Phoenix is to deliver these seeds to that family. Because as a knight, it's not all about swinging a sword and defeating evil. It's the most important lesson out of any lesson of a knight is that we help people from the low to the lowly farmer to the royal houses. There's no difference between the two.
I guess.
We're here to help everybody.
Maybe I got big dreams, but I guess there's not too much of a difference between a knight and a frog either.
Well, take it from me.
I mean, it depends on the frog.
Take it from me, Bert. After what we're gonna go through, you're gonna want to deliver just some fucking seeds to some farmers.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's probably going to be pretty bad. Okay, well, I'm chipper on the outside, and inside I am absolutely terrified. Should we meet everyone on down in the grotto?
Do you want to hear a secret first?
Well, I always want to hear a secret.
He's gonna lean real close into what he assumes is Bert's ears. Frogs don't have ears, but he's gonna say, "That's how I feel all the time too."
You know, it's funny. Someone else told me that. Sometimes it's a real nice thing to hear. And Bert is going
Atticus is going to stand up and look down at Bert, and he's like, "All right, you ready to be the first knighted member of the Knights of the Phoenix in a Very long time.
Yeah. I'm ready. Yeah. Do I get to keep my sword? I really like my sword.
Yeah, you can have any sword you want. You can use it like a morning star if you want.
Okay. Oh. Looks down at his sword.
You can use an axe. You can use a spear.
An axe. Oh.
You'll have access to any weapon in the army.
God
Bert.
damn! If I could get an axe. And Bert starts talking to you about all the weapons that he perhaps might wield after becoming a knight as you head towards the grotto. And that is where we are going to end our session for tonight. And we will be back next week on Monday with another session of Castle Run. Thanks, everyone who tuned in. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hide your tissues.
Bye.